Hi guys, I'm Ivory and welcome to my channel. So not too long ago, the brand Bestope reached out to me asking if I would like to try and review some of their products. And before I even agreed, I looked them up just to make sure that they were legitimate, because as a person with a platform, as you grow, you will get many different companies coming at you, asking you to review their products. It's not always easy to tell which ones are the fake ones and the real ones, but I went ahead and looked them up. They are on Amazon. A lot of their products are actually labeled as bestsellers or Amazon's choice. And when I saw the ratings with the price, I got really excited and immediately said yes, because they are extremely affordable. So I'm always really excited when very affordable and high quality things are sold at a very reasonable price. And in today's video, I'm going to be unboxing everything, giving you some information about the products, as well as reviewing what they have given me. Before we even begin, I just want to say that this video is not sponsored. No one forced me to do a review, and they did not give me any script as to what they wanted me to include or say about their products. If you are interested in any of the products, they will be listed in the description box below. And lastly, before we even start, I would love if you subscribed. I post new videos every Wednesdays and Sundays and post occasional bonus videos on Fridays. And also, if you want to, I'd love to have you on my social media. Both my Instagram as well as my Twitter are both _ivorycherry. Gonna be honest, I don't really know how Twitter works, so if you don't follow me there, I totally understand. But my Instagram, I feel like I'm decent at keeping up with. I'm not the best, but I'm decent. So if you choose to follow me on any of those platforms, Instagram is where it's at. And I think that's all I wanted to say, so let's get started. So the first thing I received from them is this really cool vanity mirror. It opens up into 3 panels. This is 2x magnification, this is 3x. The packaging has 2 parts. It's this stand and then this flat catch-all tray. All you do is simply snap it in, and if you want to release it, you just push this and it will come out. Right here in the back is where you would put the batteries. Those are not included, so you will have to get some AAA batteries for yourself. And the nice thing is, if you don't want to use batteries, at the very bottom is a port and they give you this cord. So if you have a USB port somewhere close by, you can hook up this mirror to that port and it will light up from the cord. So you don't actually need batteries if you don't want to. I already showed this in a previous video, but to get more in depth, this does light up, so you can turn it on and turn it off. And if this light is too bright for you, you turn it on and you just press it for 3 seconds and it will control the lighting. And once you like the lighting, you let go and it stays right there. So I just dimmed it down a little bit. If I want it a little bit brighter, you hold on to 3 seconds again and it's back at maximum brightness. I think this little tray is really nice to have. I've been putting my lashes there. So I think it's a really small but well thought out feature. And the mirror itself is adjustable, so the stand does rotate, so you can move it any which way that you please. And the mirror and the cord together retail for $25.99. So the next thing I received is brush sets. I got 2 of them. This one is a 16 piece and it is rose gold, and the second one is an 8 piece that I used. They're all dirty because I did my makeup with them, because I did want to demo the brushes for you. I only opened up the 8 piece because I have a lot of makeup brushes already. I have more brushes than I think I'll ever need. So as much as I want to review the 16 piece, I think it'd be really wasteful, and I would love to give this to someone who actually really wants this, that doesn't have a brush set already. So I'm actually gonna leave this unopened and I'm gonna include this in a giveaway. I'm not gonna tell you when the giveaway is gonna happen, but it's gonna happen eventually. I also wanted to say that on Amazon, this 16 piece right now is labeled as Amazon's choice. The BS Mall brushes are labeled as the best seller. I actually have the BS Mall brushes as well. These are the first brushes that I ever bought off of Amazon. They are very cheap. They are great quality. There are multiple sets just like the Bestope ones. I think I got the 8 piece from BS Mall, and a lot of the brushes are some of my staples that I use every single day. However, I wanted to note that the 16 piece from Bestope retails currently for $8.99, and the BS Mall brushes are a 14 piece set for $10.99. So if you go with Bestope, you get 2 extra brushes and you pay $2 less as well. Not trying to persuade you one way or the other, I'm just spitting out facts. Moving on to the brushes that I actually used, the 8 piece on Amazon Amazon currently retails for $7.99, so that is $1 per brush. There are 4 face brushes and 4 eye brushes, and if you look up this exact set on Amazon, they are also labeled as bestsellers. I really don't know how the algorithm works with Amazon. That's just the label that I saw with them, so I'm just transpiring that to you guys. In the description, it doesn't really say the exact purpose for each of the brushes, so it's kind of open to interpretation. There's also no description on the brushes, like it doesn't say angled blush brush, it doesn't say any of that. So it really is just how you want to use it. So I'm just really gonna dumb it down, not because I think you guys are dumb, but it is how my mind translates it. Starting off with the eye brushes, you have your standard fluffy brush, an angled blending brush. It is not completely circular. One side is flatter than the other. And then lastly, I have no idea what to call this because it's just a cylinder. It is flat at the top. This brush is also in the BS Small brush set and I never used it. I have no idea what to really use this for, but to me, it's just a brush that looks like a cylinder. For face brushes, you have your round top Kabuki and you also have a flat top Kabuki as well. The next thing that's included is an angled buffing brush. And the last brush is a Tulip Brush, which is just a fluffy brush that is very tapered at the top. And that is everything that I received. I already did my makeup using these brushes, so I'm gonna insert clips on how I used each and every single one of these brushes to show you how I use them. That doesn't necessarily mean that the way that I use them is the way they have to be used. That certainly is not the case. I'm just saying that is how I wanted to use them. So if you feel, for example, you don't like using a round top Kabuki for foundation, go ahead and use the flat top one. That's really your call. So the first brush that I used was this, I really have no idea how I would call this. It's a flat top blending brush. It's quite stiff. I mean, the hairs are soft, but there's a lot of structure to this shape. I'm pretty sure this is for the eyes, but I just could not see myself using this type of brush for any purpose. So what I did was I filled in my brows and used this brush to carve out my brows with concealer. It did an okay job. It's not the best. I definitely won't reuse it. I really would have preferred if this was a flat shader brush because that is what I use to carve my brows out anyways. And I'm surprised that this set doesn't have a flat shader brush because I always use one to pack on metallics or shimmers onto the lid. So it will get the job done, but it doesn't look nearly as good as it would unless you used a flat shader brush. So the next brush I used was this round top Kabuki. I personally prefer a round top. I just think it gets into the crevices a lot better than a flat top. That is just a personal preference. Obviously, every brush is different. I don't always prefer a round top Kabuki. For example, my Sigma F80 brush, even though it's a flat top, I really love using this for foundation. But when I was deciding whether I wanted to use a round top or a flat top, I just felt like the flat top was less structured. Like it's a little more flimsy, which I thought was great for blush. And when bristles are loosely packed, I think it's really nice for powder because you can maneuver them a lot easier. And when it comes to foundation, I prefer bristles that are more densely packed together. So that's why I chose this to do my foundation. It did a great job. It buffed everything out really nicely. A common problem that people have using a brush for foundation is the brush strokes. So what I like to do is I like to buff in my foundation for the first layer and I alternate between buffing it in and then using stippling or tapping motions. And I specifically like to tap where I want more coverage so that the foundation doesn't move so much in that area. So places like my cheeks, I will always do tapping motions, and around my neck and chin area, since that is where most of my acne exists. I didn't see any brush strokes. I didn't have any problems with this. I thought it did a really great job and I definitely will reuse this again. So the next brush I used was the Tulip Brush. I call it a Tulip Brush because Patrick Star calls it a Tulip Brush and he is queen, so I'm just following by example. So I first started using this brush to blend out my concealer from my under eyes, on my forehead, and my chin. I instantly regretted it. I actually made this exact mistake with my first brush set review. I'll put it up here in the suggested if you're interested. I always use a sponge to blend out my concealer, and every single time I try to use a brush, I instantly regret it, and history repeats itself. This brush did not blend the same way that a damp sponge would. It was like pulling at my skin. It wasn't blending out really nicely. So I stopped before I regretted it completely. I went in with a sponge to fix the concealer situation, and I ended up using this Tulip brush to set my under eyes, and I prefer using this brush for that purpose because the tip is really great for getting really up close to your inner tear duct. So it's a great shape and size if you're trying to get really up close there. And a lot of people that are not as oily as me tend to only set like the under eyes and the T-zone area. So I think this is a really great shape for that. Next off, I use the fluffy blending brush, and I took any matte shadow and I blended it all over my eyes. I then took the same brush that I used as my transition shade brush, and I pinched the bristles and used that to smoke my lower lash lines, since I don't have a brush that like tight lines my lower lash line, so I just had to improvise with this one. In my opinion, I think it's really hard to mess up a transition brush. I really haven't seen a bad one, and this one is no different. It did a really great job. It blended everything very nicely, very easily. The bristles are really soft, and that's about it. I don't really have any complaints about this brush. Next off is the pencil brush. I use this to highlight the tip and the bridge of my nose, as well as my inner corner and my brow bone. It's a little too big for my brow bone, but for everywhere else, I thought it worked out just fine. Again, a super standard brush, so I'm not gonna sit here and say like it is the best inner corner highlight brush ever. Standard to me doesn't mean bad. It just means whatever you expect the brush to do, it does just that. No more, no less. So if you're looking for a pencil brush to use to highlight your inner corner, your nose, and your face, this will not disappoint you. So the next brush I used is this angled brush. It is flatter on one side versus the other. The first thing I thought about was my E62 brush from Morphe. This one is a little bit longer, and it's definitely a lot fluffier than this one. I used this brush for my nose contour. So I went ahead and used this brush for the exact same thing. Definitely not as structured as my E62 brush. So this brush is more for like a soft contoured nose as opposed to like a snatched nose. I mean, it's very easy to just pinch the bristles and get a more structured nose contour if you really wanted to. So it's not impossible to get. And then afterwards, I added some mascara and some false lashes. It's funny because so many people were complimenting these lashes, saying that they look so pretty. And I love the way they look on camera. I think they look super flattering. But I knew when I showed my husband my face, he was gonna hate these lashes because in person, they're very loud. They're very like, look at me, look at my eyes. So when I finished my last look and I had these lashes on, I went upstairs and my husband looked at my face and he goes, "You have new lashes and I do not like them." And I'm like, I knew you were gonna say that. I knew it, because I don't think I'd wear these out in public either. I really only wear these to film with, but I wore them around the house for a couple more hours because I usually edit my videos within the same day, or at least I start to within the day that I filmed it. And sometimes I don't like the intro or the outro, so I have to redo it, so I keep the makeup on. And I kept my makeup on for another 2 hours, and he's like, "You're done filming. Take off your lashes. Take them off now." Like, he did not want me to wear them. He did not want to make eye contact with me. So I just thought that was really funny because I knew he wouldn't like the lashes, and as soon as he saw them, he was very vocal about it. But I'm still gonna wear them anyways. Okay, so moving on, I next use the angled buffing brush. I use this to bronze and contour. Compared to what I usually use, it's not that much bigger. It blended out everything really easily. It's super soft. You could use this for blush, but I feel like it's just a little too stiff for a blush brush. I did consider using this for blush, but in the end I just decided to contour with it, and I really like the way it turned out. And then lastly is the flat top Kabuki brush. This has a lot of bend to it. It almost kind of looks like a duo fiber. I ended up using this for blush instead, and I really liked it. When it comes to blush brushes, I prefer something really loose because I want to be able to maneuver my blush the way I want to. With something more dense, once you pack it down, it's very concentrated where it is, whereas if something is fluffier, it's very easy to disperse it where you want it to go. And even though I typically wouldn't use a flat top Kabuki to do my blush, I ended up really liking the way that it turned out. And that's it, guys. That is how I used all 8 of these brushes. Final thoughts. I think for the price, this is a really good deal. They're very soft, very high quality. They're basically $1 per brush, and I like that you get some face and eye brushes. There of course are some negatives that I wanted to point out. First of all, this brush, the one that I used to carve out my eyebrows, I have never seen anybody ever use this brush. Every makeup tutorial I've ever seen, every Insta story, I have never seen this brush used anywhere. I really would have preferred a flat shader brush in the eye set so that I could have carved out my eyebrows or used something to pack on shimmer on the lid. I ended up having to just use my finger to get this metallic on my lid. So I really don't see the use for this. And another thing is, I feel like these are basically two varieties of foundation brushes. If you're gonna have 8 brushes, I would prefer a variety for like the entire face. So maybe have this one as foundation and maybe instead make this either a highlighting brush or like a large powder brush or even like an angled liner brush for a wing. So I don't feel like this set is completely complete. I definitely think that this could have been improved. However, I will say that the 16-piece set fills in the gaps that they missed out on in this 8-piece set. I saw online and I can see in here there is a flat shader brush, there's a spoolie, there's a liner brush, there's something to fill in your brows like if you want to use a pomade. There's at least 2 different kinds of blending brushes, which I think is great. It has a fan brush for highlighting. I think it's safe to assume that these brushes will perform the same as these, and these are really great quality. So I'm gonna go ahead and say that if you are looking for a more complete set, this will be the one that you want, because I feel like this set will accommodate any person no matter what their makeup skill is, whether they're beginner or very advanced. This will cover a lot of ground, whereas the 8-piece I feel is more beginner friendly. So that is it for this video. I hope that you enjoyed. If you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and feel free to comment down below what other types of videos you'd like to see from me. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.